Welcome back. For a change, I'm not among the first ones to come to the morning class. Instead, almost everyone else seems to be here already. I recognize most of my class by their faces by now, though some of their names escape me still. The class goes on lazily. I think I'm starting to get into the rhythm of the school. I've even stopped worrying about taking notes and being overly attentive. The first days I was pretty high-strung in class. Muto finishes his lecture about electricity early, but continues without a pause about the festival. Did he have a voice? I don't remember. I don't know.
So, as you know, the festival is on the day after tomorrow. I hope everyone's projects are going to be successful this year. Have a good time, but also come Sunday, please keep the meaning of this festival in your minds.
Games and fried food!
Everyone burst out in laughter, and so do I.
Yes, thank you, Mikado. But what I meant was...
The remainder of his sentence is buried beneath the ring of the lunch bells, and everyone starts packing their things. Muto deliberates for a moment, but since almost nobody seems to pay attention anymore, he gives up and sits down. It's crowded in the hallway, or as crowded as hallways in this school probably get. Most of the students seem to be heading down for the cafeteria.
Hisao! I'm going to make you a one-time only super extra special lunch offer. Amy's homemade lunchboxes, and the privilege of enjoying them in private with two bombshell beauties.
Her overly flirtatious sales pitch echoes in the hallway, a remarkable feat since it's full of people. Amy strikes a very confident-looking pose, as though in an attempt to one-up her own ridiculousness, puffing out her modest chest and making the V for victory sign with her hand. Sounds delicious. To what do I owe the honor of being invited?
You stood there looking really sad and lost, so I thought you could use some company. So, how about it? You're probably really lonely and would eat that awful cafeteria food all alone otherwise.
That is probably the most depressing reason I'm at about it.
I'm kidding.
Sure, I'll have your lunch offer with pleasure.
Let's go to the roof.
The roof? Why the roof?
Because that's where we eat lunch. And if I don't get up there, she'll probably wander off. And I just know she'll go hungry, because she never packs a lunch for herself.
Who will?
Come with me. I'm dying!
Without answering my question or waiting for a response, she grabs me by the arm and drags me through the hallways. I attempt to make conversation on the way. Why do you have an extra lunch? Amy smiles guiltily.
Actually, it's yesterday's lunch. I slipped in a run and forgot to eat it.
The stairway to the roof is a little dilapidated. Dilapidated? I guess that's right. But it's clearly been used recently. At the top of the stairs is a door, complete with a missing padlock. Wonder who the intrepid individual was that removed the lock. Amy shoves the door open and steps beaming into the sunlight. Suddenly, a tall, dark stranger appears out of nowhere. Standing imposingly in front of us, Amy flinches back, almost falling back down the stairs. Hello.
Yipes, you scared me, Ren. Wait, isn't she...
Hello. Noticing that Ren is speaking to us, Amy looks curiously at me.
You two know each other?
I look confusedly at Amy. She's that friend of yours? Ren has turned her gaze towards the clouds drifting above the school. I didn't know you knew this person, Amy. The awkward silence lasts only a few seconds until Amy lets out a tiny giggle, shrugging the coincidence off.
I invited us out for lunch. If you know him, that's just better.
Oh, does this mean I don't get food? Or did you invite him for lunch without the lunch? If I don't get a lunch, I'm gonna eat you, Emmy. No, seriously, I'm going to devour you whole.
Neither. I have food for 3.
Nice thinking. Now I don't have to eat you. They walk to the other end of the roof while I stay at the clock tower for a while, taking in the atmosphere. There's nobody else but us here. I guess the roof is not as popular as it is in other schools. Did I actually only hit it twice? Nope. I'm good. A few run-down benches and tables are scattered around the edges, perhaps in an attempt to make the rooftop look less desolate. The small pebbles covering the roof rattle beneath our feet. I peek through the chain-link fence to take a good look at the school grounds and beyond. Students are strolling in pairs and groups around the quadrangle and at the cafeteria. A few delivery trucks are driving past the school towards the convenience store nearby. Somewhere a watchdog barks at a passerby. Somehow, when I look towards the center of town, God damn it. Somehow when I look towards the town center, the small town feel strikes me very strongly, almost palpably. Like Emperor Palpatine. The hectic lifestyles of big metropolises seem so far away and foreign here. Nobody has to catch a bus like their life depended on it, or get their senses overloaded by the neon lights and traffic jams. I feel surprisingly optimistic about this new life of mine, looking at my new hometown, even if it's going to be mine for only one short year. Finding out about my illness and having to move away from home all came so suddenly. I haven't had time to think how I feel about it. When I step out of the shadow of the clock tower to the open, I feel warmth touching my back. The sun shines from a perfectly clear cerulean sky. A cool breeze sweeping over the rooftop makes me shiver, but only briefly. The wind carries the scent of trees and flowers, not smog and car exhaust like it used to just a few weeks ago. Emmy settles on a bench with Ren in tow and produces one big and two small lunch boxes from her bag.
Come on, Hisao. What are you waiting for?
She's beckoning me to join them, making room on the already small bench. I see myself on the corner of the bench to take up as little space as possible. It's pretty cramped, but somehow all three of us fit on it. Impressive view. Amy suppresses a giggle and places a lunchbox in front of Ren, and hands another lunchbox to me.
Here you go. Lunch is promised.
Homemade, no less. I'm impressed. Wow, this looks really good.
Thanks. I make it myself when I can.
Conversation dies off as I set about the business of feeding myself. Taking a few bites, I glance up and notice Ren deftly opening the lunchbox and popping a forkful of food into her mouth using only her feet. Even though I've seen it before, I can't help but be impressed at her dexterity. It's also a reminder of the sort of place I am in right now. Will I ever get used to the sights such as this? I can't decide if getting used to such a thing would be a good thing or a bad thing either. Does getting used to this place mean that I'm giving up on being a normal person? Or does it just mean that I'm becoming more understanding about those around me? I'm distracted from my thoughts by the sight of Emmy tearing into her lunch as if it had insulted her ancestors. You seem pretty hungry. Emmy looks up, mouth half full, and swallows before nodding.
My morning run always works up an appetite. Which is great, because when I burn through lunch pretty quickly then, helps me keep my girlish figure.
What would happen if you lose it? Would you become a man? I nearly choke on my food trying not to laugh.
It's a figure of speech.
I just spit all over my screen. Does your figure have to run in the morning too? Do you always talk like this?
Talk like what?
Like what? I think that answers my question. Never mind. So, I struggle to think of small talk and settle on the obvious question. How do you two meet? Ren seems content to let Emmy answer this question.
Someone in the housing department thought that we'd complement each other well, so we were assigned rooms next to one another.
Complement each other? Like shoes in a suit, huh? Emmy giggles at my confusion.
Put us together and we've got all our limbs, get it?
Ah.
So I started helping Ren get ready in the mornings, and that was that. I mean, you can't help someone get dressed every morning and not get along.
I see. Ren chooses this moment to interject. I have trouble with shirts. Right, that seems fairly obvious. Really? Kind of. This isn't helping, but at least Emmy seems to find the whole thing funny. That, combined with the fact that Ren is genuinely curious, makes me feel slightly better and yet confused. I mean, you've got no arms, so, putting on a shirt seems like one of those things that would be difficult. You know what? I'm just going to stop talking now. It'll save me a lot of trouble in the long run. Ren nods in what I suspect is meant to be a sage manner. I see. The conversation dies as I turn my attention back to my lunch. It's really quite good. Emmy finishes her lunch first and makes a contented noise.
That was good.
As she busies herself with cleaning up her lunch, Ren speaks up. I'm thirsty.
Oh, I almost forgot about that. Sorry.
With a flourish, she reaches into her bag and removes a trio of juice boxes. She tosses me one that appears to be cranberry juice, one to Rin that appears to be some kind of strawberry milk, complete with pink color scheme, and keeps an equally pink box of some kind of fruit punch for herself. Rin dexterously stabs her straw through the top of her box and begins to drink. I'm once again impressed by how flexible she is, but this time I keep my comment to myself. Somehow I don't think either Emmy or Rin are the sorts of people to think twice about the way they work around their particular disabilities. Rin especially so. Indeed, she gives off the impression of being entirely unaware that she's missing any limbs at all. Whether or not that's a conscious decision is another matter. I'm honestly not sure.
So, Hisao, how do you like it up here?
It's quite nice, actually. I like high places for the view. Thanks for inviting me up here. And for the lunch, too. Emmy grins a 1,000-watt grin, pleased by my response, I suppose.
No problem. Feel free to eat with us next time, too, okay? I won't make you lunch, but you can bring your own up here.
No lunch service? I don't know. Emmy looks mock offended.
Trying to take advantage of my good nature? The nerve!
She giggles.
Well, if that's your answer, I guess Ren and I will just keep eating our lunches all alone.
I'm suddenly assaulted by the most heart-rending puppy dog eyes I've ever seen as Emmy pouts. Kidding, I was kidding. I love to eat lunch up here again. Good location, and the company's okay too. Emmy frowns a bit at my declaration of okay, but seems happy enough that I've accepted her invitation. I guess that makes us friends now. Or at least acquaintances. The lunch bell rings, signaling a return downstairs.
Ren, you didn't finish your lunch again.
I wasn't that hungry.
If you don't eat more, you're going to fade away.
Rin shrugs as if that is an acceptable risk. Come on, we better get going. The three of us head down the stairs together.
Ah, thank God. No more of them.
The afternoon class passes. Once again, I find myself without a plan for something to do after school. So I head to the library to return a couple of books I've finished reading. Walking inside, I see that there are about as many students here as there were on Tuesday, all the more evident from the total silence enveloping the room. As I drop the books I'd borrowed into the return slots in the counter, Yuko suddenly pops up from behind it, quite startled from the banging they make as they hit the trolley next to her. Sorry, Yuko, didn't mean to startle you.
No, that's fine. It happens. A lot. I'm used to it by now. Can I help you?
It's okay, I think I know where everything is. Thanks anyway. I suppose I'll grab another book or two while I'm here. There's not much else to do, and after reading so much during my stay in the hospital, it becomes a hard habit to break. Well, I wander down the fiction section towards the back of the library, scanning the bookshelves for anything that catches my eye. As I do, I look over to the corner where Hanako had been the last time I was here, not really expecting anything to come of it. Surprisingly, though, she was there, absorbed completely in a fairly thick book. I decide against intruding on her like last time, and get back to finding reading material. After an indiscernible amount of time spent pursuing the aisles, I finally decide on a couple of books to get and slide them off the shelf. With a minimum of fuss, I quickly walk over to the counter, check out my books, and pop them into my bag as I walk out. By the time I leave the main building, sunset isn't too far away. A small trickle of students remain, but the majority have left, presumably to their homes and dorms. I guess I need to buy some supplies. I can't live off cafeteria food and eating out for my entire stay here. As I leave for the gates, I make a few loud stretches to try and stave off the tiredness that's accumulated over the week. After passing through and rounding the corner, though, I see a solitary figure walking downhill towards the town down below. The color of her hair and tapping of her cane are unmistakable. I quickly walk up to her, which seems to catch her attention without a word needing to be said. Hi, Lilly. She takes a moment to place the voice, slightly adjusting her head to face a bit more towards the sound of my voice as she does.
Hisao?
Yep, that's me. She seems to have a good memory for voices. The fact that she actually remembered it is a pleasant surprise.
Good evening. What brings you here?
Once again she gives a small, polite bow, and once again I reply in kind before realizing that I needn't do so. Just going into town. You? My, what a coincidence. With that, I'm gonna end it. I think if I keep going now, I'm gonna die, so I'm gonna take a small break. With that, I'll see you later. Peace.